everyone, my name is Ashima and I'm back again with another video on how to solve questions related to main idea. So as per what we did in the previous class, most of you might be aware that we talked about what is the main idea. Right? हमने पिछली क्लास में main idea in detail discuss किया and as we have promised that हम लोग सारे questions आपके साथ solve करेंगे. That is what I am standing by and आज हम लोग question solve करेंगे within the class. And let's just see how much time does a question take and how can we reduce the time taken for one question. Right? Let's just start. So before starting, I would like to revise with you all guys what we did in the previous class. So in the previous class, we talked about the main idea. Now, what is the main idea? Main idea is the key idea or the central idea, right? The primary purpose, right? Or the central purpose of the passage, right? Simply speaking, it is what the passage talks about, right? This is what the main idea is. This was the definition of main idea and that is exactly what I have explained you guys. Just have a quick look at it. Now, when I talked about the main idea, I gave you a few points wherein I told you how to solve questions related to the main idea, right? So, usme we discussed that we have to scan and we have to read the passage. Now, let's say why is scanning important? So, let's say you have 4 passages. Right, you have 4 passages and out of those 4 passages, you have to select which one to do first. Right, so wahan pe you just scan and see the passage which you know a bit about. Let's say there is a passage which is related to psychology and let's say there is a student who loves psychology. Right, अब उस student के लिए वो passage solve करना easy होगा. Why? Because वो psychology पढ़ रहा है, उसको पसंद है and उसको terminologies कहीं ना कहीं clear होगी. But आपको कैसे पता चलेगा that passage is about psychology? अगर आप scan करोगे उन 4 passages को, just go through them once, right? And उससे आपको पता चल जाएगा कि ये passage is worth doing and this is how I have to do the passage. Right? Then, after scanning, you have to read the passage properly. Now, most of the students ask me this doubt, ma'am, pehle questions dekh le, like we used to do in the school. No, it is a big no. Don't look at the questions. First, try and read the passage properly and then start solving it. Second was, focus on the main points, right, or the keywords. Right, this is what you need to focus on. Third thing you have to remember is that you have to focus on paraphrasing. Now, what is paraphrasing? Paraphrasing is writing about the paragraphs within the passage in short. जो आपको paragraphs दिए हुए हैं within a passage, आप उसको short में लिख लो. That is what is paraphrasing. So, instead of remembering 3 to 4 paragraphs, you will have to remember 3 to 4 lines. That is it, 3 to 4 sentences, right? That is how you can find out the main idea of the entire text, right? So, this is what you need to remember and that is how you have to go about it. Iske alawa, you need to focus on the conclusion as well. Because sometimes it is seen that the main idea may not be there, may not be directly written there, but the conclusion will definitely make you understand what the main idea is. End में अगर उसने बात sum up करी है, तो definitely आप वहाँ से comprehend कर सकते हो that this should be the main idea, right? अब इसके अलावा, I told you one more thing, that when we talk about the main idea, we have to forget all the facts and all the figures given in the passage along with the examples given. तो हमें याद क्या रखना है? What has the author said? Because author की lines में ही आपको main idea मिलेगा. Right? And main idea is something which is repeated throughout the passage. It is not given in one paragraph, right? So you have to remember that main idea is something which is repeated again and again. Right? Clear? I hope सबको एक बारी last class याद आ गई है. Now let's just start solving the questions. Right, how will we go about the questions? I'll put this passage in front of you. I'll read it out first, then you guys will read it out, and then we'll solve the questions. So let's just start. 50 years ago, a graduate student at Oxford, my wife, and I were preparing to do anthropological fieldwork on the island of Sumba in eastern Indonesia. Not long after beginning our research, an elderly ritual expert happened to mention that yet another ritualist, one of his rivals, as it later turned out, had eaten a woman, the wife of a third man. This took me aback, in part because the woman in question was still alive. But I soon learned that the old man was accusing his rival of being a mamarang, a witch who on Sumba is said to cause illness and death by invisibly eating people's soul. Right? Meeting secretly at night, Sumbanese witches also capture human souls, transform them into sacrificial animals, and then slaughter these to kill their victims and consume their bodies. Anthropologists who have studied witchcraft from the early days of their discipline strive to explain the phenomena by focusing on social systems. Do accusations of witchcraft reveal social relationships that are ill-defined and likely to give rise to tension? Do they play a role in political and economic rivalry, including among co-wives in polygamous marriages? Have they been invoked to explain why some people suffer misfortune while others do not? So now, after reading the first paragraph itself, something strange comes into my mind that, oh, this is something so interesting to know about. Because it is all about witchcraft and how the anthropologists have been taking it into account. Right? तो अब हमें यहाँ से समझ आता है कि anthropologists जो हैं वो कैसे witchcraft को study कर रहे हैं and how are they studying the effects and the causes of witchcraft and how witchcraft is affecting the lives of the people. Right? So now the inspiration of this approach goes back to the work of E.E. Vivens, Pritchard on the Azande of Central Africa, right? So in this book, Witchcraft, Oracles and Magic Among the Azande, E.P. has, as he was known to students and colleagues, right, treated accusations and confessions of witchcraft as essential element of Zande cosmology and a way of maintaining an orderly social life. Zande witches were said to embody an evil substance with the supernatural power to harm a person whom the witch consciously or unconsciously disliked. Unlikely witches in many other cultures, the Zande variants are attacked by purely mental means. They simply had to harbor ill will against another and did not, for example, need to recite spells or deliberately send invisible projectiles to injure a person as in common among witches elsewhere. Right? So here, we get to know that Zande witches were somewhat different from the others. Right? Now, suffering an illness or other misfortune, especially one that afflicted only themselves and not others, example snake bite, or another accident, a Zande man or a woman or their relative, if the misfortune was fatal, could then suspect the work of a witch who had it in for them. With the help of a diviner, the suspect's identity could be confirmed, claiming they were not conscious of causing harm, the accused often confessed. Right? So this is something about witchcraft, that how did the witches used to, harm the other people, or how they used to work actually, right? So the two parties were then reconciled and the victim no longer regarded the accused as a witch. In this way, Evans Pritchard saw belief in witches as a way of explaining why bad things sometimes happen to people, including good people. Since accusations and confessions could reveal strain in relations between people, this was a way to promote and maintain social harmony as well. Right? So here he has said that witchcraft, just because we are accusing everything and we are relating everything to witchcraft, this was an easy way of telling people that it was all about witchcraft and not about how the person felt about the other person. right? So this was just a positive, this is just a positive note on how he has ended it, that since acquisitions and confessions could reveal strains in relations between people, this was way to promote and maintain social harmony as well. कि just because हमने उसको witchcraft का नाम दे दिया, it became very easy to just let the person go off of the fact that he did something ill, and it was very easy to maintain social harmony. Right? Now let us see the question, which of the following is primary concern? Again, the question type is very important for us. Which is primary concern of the author when discussing the role of anthropologist in studying witchcraft? So यहाँ पे question हमसे पूछ रहा है कि author का primary concern क्या है जब वो discuss कर रहा है anthropologist के role को in studying witchcraft. कि how have the anthropologists and their role been defined by the author while studying witchcraft? Let's see. So anthropologists focus on the spiritual causes of misfortune in various cultures. Anthropologists seek to explain the social function of witchcraft within societies. Then anthropologists demean local cultural beliefs in favor of objective scientific reasoning, or anthropologists use witchcraft beliefs as a way to criticize local cultures. So which according to you is the answer? See, in the last few lines we have understood what the anthropologists were trying to say, right? So where all can we find what all the anthropologists are trying to say? See, right? Then moving ahead, let's just see what all the author is trying to say. Author की lines को हम underline करना शुरू करते हैं, right? Who is the author here? A person who was studying about witches, right? Who was graduating at Oxford, right, with his wife, right? So now यहाँ पे we have started with what they are trying to say, but soon I learned that the old man was accusing his rival of being a Mamarang, a witch who on Sumba is said to cause illness and death by invisibly eating people's soul. Right? Now Sumbani's witches also capture human soul, transform them into sacrificial animals. This is all about the examples. These are just examples which are given here. So one thing I've always told you guys, that you have to forget the examples. Right? So here, anthropologists who have studied witchcraft from the early days of their discipline strive to explain the phenomena by focusing on social systems. Right? Do acquisitions of witchcraft reveal social relationships that are ill-defined and likely to give rise to tension? Do they play a role in political or economic rivalry? Right? Have they been invoked to explain why some people suffer misfortune while others don't? Right? So यहाँ पे हमें एक थोड़ा सा hint मिला that we are talking about how the anthropologists have used witchcraft or have studied witchcraft as a social phenomena and in the social setting itself, right? And again, the entire stories of Azande women was just an example, right? That was just an example. Apart from this, here they have said that what was the finding of it? It was clear that claiming they were not conscious of harm, causing harm, the accused often confessed. Now, what was the result of it? It was this. In this way, Evans Pritchard saw belief in witches as a way of explaining why bad things sometimes happen to people, including good people. Since acquisitions and confessions could reveal strain in relations between people, this was a way to promote and maintain social harmony. Again, हर जगह पे हम society के बारे में, social harmony के बारे में बात करें, and how the findings of the examples or the researches conducted by the anthropologists have resulted. Let's see what is the primary idea. Anthropologists, let's just start from option D. Anthropologists use witchcraft belief as a way to criticize local cultures. They are not criticizing any culture. Nowhere are we talking about criticism to any culture. Right? Then, anthropologists demean local belief. Demean का मतलब होता है to disregard. ऐसा भी वो कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं. Right? So, this also should be cancelled. The entire focus of the passage is to study witchcraft in the social settings. तो हमारे पास सिर्फ दो options रह जाते हैं. Right? First thing first, anthropologists focus on the spiritual causes of misfortune in various cultures. क्या हम spiritual causes की बात कर रहे हैं कहीं पे? क्या हमने कहीं spirits की बात करी? Are we talking about something related to God or something related to spiritual activities? No, we did not. Rather, we talked about how anthropologists studied witchcraft in the society. right? And how witchcraft has been affecting the society. So here, this is also not the answer. So the only answer that is left and which seems logical to us is anthropologists seek to explain the social function of witchcraft within societies. Ki how the witchcraft has been seen within the societies and how is it affecting the societies, right? I hope this is clear to everyone, right? Now, the passage suggests that anthropologists have long been interested in the study of witchcraft because what would be the reason? Why are they interested? Now, they believe witchcraft is an unexplainable phenomena that exists across all cultures. It is an effective way to understand the political and the economic system of different societies. Witchcraft accusations often insight into social relationships and the tensions within communities. And last, it provides an opportunity to compare ancient and modern practices of witchcraft across cultures. Now, here I am giving you a hint. See, in option D, we have nowhere compared the ancient and the modern time. So you need to eliminate this. Now, they believe witchcraft is unexplainable. If it is unexplainable, how are they trying to explain the relationships, right? And how are they trying to explain witchcraft? They are not doing that too, right? We are left with two clues options. First is it is an effective way to understand the political and economic system of different societies, and witchcraft accusations often insights into social relationship and tensions within communities. Let's see इन दोनों में से क्या आंसर होगा. हाँ, अब समझो यहाँ पे उन्होंने हमसे क्वेश्चन पूछा that what will be the reason behind them studying witchcraft, right? What will be the reason कि आप एक researcher है जो वो witchcraft के बारे में पढ़ना चाह रहा है. So यहाँ पे in the answer, in the end they have said that since accusations and confessions could reveal strain in relationships between people, this was a way to promote and maintain social harmony as well, right? तो ये एक तरीका था social harmony maintain करने का कि आप उसको बोल दो that it was mere witchcraft and there was no will of the person. But इनके witchcraft को study करने का reason क्या था? That they wanted to see how witchcraft has been affecting political and economic system of different societies, right? So what should be the answer? B should be the answer here, right? I hope this is clear, and it has also been clearly mentioned here while we have read this, right? So to strive to explain the phenomena by focusing on social systems, do disciplines try to explain the phenomena by focusing on social systems, and do acquisitions to witchcraft reveal social relationships that are ill-defined and likely to give rise to tensions, right? I hope this is clear. Now, come to the next one. The inclusion of the specific example of Zande witchcraft belief and its application to social relations is primarily meant to do what? Now, I have asked every student to paraphrase, right? So, all those students who are paraphrasing along with me, they need to understand one thing कि ऐसे से जो questions होते हैं ना, they are specifically based on you paraphrasing things, right? Let's say आपने ये paraphrase करा हुआ है, आपको पता होगा कि this was there in the third paragraph, right? And इसमें ये लिखा हुआ था, and क्यों लिखा हुआ था वो आपको वैसे ही पता होगा. So the time will be reduced because you won't go back to the passage and read it again, right? So let's see. The inclusion of the specific example of Zande witchcraft belief and its application to social relations is primarily meant to do what? Illustrate the differences in witchcraft practices between cultures, provide a detailed anthropological explanation of witchcraft beliefs in Central Africa, show how witchcraft accusations serve as a mean of social control and reconciliation, and to demonstrate all cultures have a belief in which witches who use physical harm. तो यहाँ पे words को पहले तो notice करो, illustrate, provide, show and demonstrate, right? Example क्यों use हुआ? Let's just go to the Zande women example. हाँ, so here it is, right? So suffering and illness, हम यहाँ पे we'll talk about the Zande women, right? So in this book of witchcraft, oracles and magic among the Azandes, EP treated acquisitions and confessions of witchcraft as essential element of Zande cosmology and the way of maintaining an orderly social life. Zande witches were said to embody an evil substance with the supernatural power to harm a person whom the witch consciously or unconsciously disliked. Unlike witches in many other cultures, very important, unlike witches in many other cultures, the Zande variants are attacked by purely mental means, right? So the witches don't physically harm you. They simply add to the harbor ill will against another and did not, for example, need to recite spells or deliberately send invisible projectiles to the injured person as is common among the witches elsewhere. Suffering an illness or other misfortune, especially one that afflicted only themselves and not others. A Zande man or a woman or their relatives, if the misfortune was fatal, would then suspect the work of a witch who had it for them. With the help of a diviner, the suspect's identity could be confirmed. Claiming they were not conscious of causing harm, the accused often confessed. Now, the two parties would then reconcile, right? And the victim no longer regarded the accused as the witch. In this way, अब इससे क्या हुआ? इसको पढ़ के हमें क्या समझ आया? In this way, Evans Pritchard saw belief in witches as a way of explaining why bad things sometimes happen to good people, including good people. Since acquisitions and confessions could reveal strain in relationships between people, this was a way to promote and maintain social harmony as well. चलो, अब देखें क्या लिखा हुआ है यहाँ पे? To demonstrate that all cultures have a belief in witches who use physical harm. But यहाँ पे तो physical harm की बात ही नहीं हो रही, यहाँ पे तो सिर्फ mental harm की बात हो रही है, right? So we simply eliminate option D. To show how witchcraft acquisitions serve as a mean of social control and reconciliation. Somewhat correct. So let's just keep this option for later. Right? Provide a detailed anthropological explanation of witchcraft beliefs in Central Africa. Right? हमने कहीं पे भी ना detailed वो नहीं दिया of witchcraft in Central Africa. We just talked about one of the beliefs. Right? So we'll simply eliminate this option. Illustrate the differences in which witchcraft practices between cultures. What are the differences in witchcraft between different cultures? Okay, this is one of the aspects which has been given to us, but this is not the primary purpose, right? Hence, we will eliminate this and the answer will be C. To show how witchcraft has been used to serve as a means of social control and to reconciliate and to help the parties reconciliate with each other. Right? Reconciliate का क्या मतलब होता है? I want you guys to write down the meaning of reconciliate in the chat box. Right? Reconciliation. I want you to write down the meaning of reconciliation in the chat box. Right? Now, let's just read ahead. Now, this is passage 2 for you guys. Aunt Jemima and Uncle Tom are dead. Their places taken by a group of amazingly well-adjusted young men and women, almost as dark but ferociously literate, well-dressed and scrubbed, who are never laughed at and who are not likely ever to set foot in a cotton or tobacco field or in any but most modern of the kitchens. Right? There are others who remain in our odd idioms, unprivileged, some are bitter, and these come to grief. Right? Some are unhappy but continually presented with the evidence of a better day soon to come, are speedily becoming less so. Right? Most of them care nothing whatever about race. They want only their proper place in the sun and the right to be left alone like any other citizen of the Republic. We may all breathe more easily. Before, however, our joy at the demise of Aunt Jemima and Uncle Tom approaches the indecent, we had better ask whence they sprang, how they lived. Onto what limbo have they vanished? Right? Now, for most of the students who find it very difficult to solve such kind of passages wherein a story is being told and a concept is trying to be explained to you, उनके लिए ये पैसेज है. जिनको लगता है कि हम स्टोरी के साथ साथ कोई चीज समझ नहीं सकते, let's just read through it. यहाँ पे हम समझ गए that they have given a reference of Aunt Jemima and about an uncle, and then they are talking about an oppressed group of people or a group of people who were treated different from the others. Right? However, now, however is a key word, and it is known as what? It is known as a thought reversal. Right? So, however inaccurate our portraits of them were, right? These portraits do suggest not only the conditions but the quality of their lives and their impact of their spectacle on our conscience, right? There was no one more forbearing than Aunt Jemima, no one stronger or more pious or more loyal or more wise. There was at the time no one weaker or more faithless or more vicious and certainly no one more immoral. Uncle Tom, trustworthy and sexless, needed only to drop the title uncle to become violent, crafty and sullen, a menace to any white woman who passed by. Right? They prepared our feast tables and our burial clothes, and if we could boast that we understood them, it was far more to the point and far more true that they understood us. They were, moreover, the only people in the world who did, and not only did they know us better than we know ourselves, but they knew us better than we knew them. This was the piquant flavoring to the national joke, right? It lay behind our uneasiness as it lay behind our benevolence. What is benevolence? What is benevolence? What is benevolence? Now, this is a question for you. You have to write down the meaning of benevolence, because while I was teaching you guys vocabulary, I taught the root word for benevolence, right? Now, Aunt Jemima and Uncle Tom, our creations, at the last evaded us. They had a life, their own, perhaps a better life than ours, and they would never tell us what it was. Right? So here we got to know that they were talking about the lives of two people. And by reading all this, I get to know that these people were living a life which had 2 points to it. 2 sides of a coin to it, right? They had 2 sides of a coin to it, one which they showed the world and the other which was not known to many, right? Now, at the point where we were driven most privately and painfully to conjecture what depths of contempt, what heights of indifference, what prodigies of resilience, what untamable superiority allowed them so vividly to endure, neither perishing nor rising up in a body to wipe us from the earth. The image perpetually shattered and the word failed. The black man in our midst carried murder in his heart. He wanted vengeance. Vengeance means revenge. We carried murder too. We wanted peace. Right? So here they are telling what all did they feel by the kind of oppression they have seen or by the kind of situations they have seen. Right? So which of the following best captures the paradox described in the passage about Aunt Jemima and Uncle Tom? Before going to the paradox, I want you guys to go through the passage once again, because the vocabulary used is way too good. Right? So please pause your videos and go through the passage once. Right? Read? Just go through this as well. This is the last part of it. Alright, let's just talk about this. So let's just come to the paradox. What is a paradox? Paradox is a contrary or a contradiction which is being talked about in the passage. तो contradiction क्या होती है? 2 opposite statements जो साथ में बोली जा रही हैं या 2 opposite situations जो हमें साथ में बताई जा रही हैं. So here they were both highly educated and oppressed. They embodied the virtues of loyalty and strength, yet were perceived as weak and immoral. They were both morally superior to white society, and they were figures of racial unity and understanding. Right? अब racial unity and understanding में इस statement में मुझे कोई paradox दिख नहीं रहा है. So this shouldn't be the correct answer. Come to the second one. They were both morally superior to white society. Did we talk about the white society here? Are we clearly talking about the white society as per what we have read in the passage? Can we understand कि white society के बारे में बात हो रही है? No, we cannot, right? Then they were both highly educated and oppressed. Oppressed, I understand, but highly educated के बारे में बात ही नहीं हुई कहीं. So the only option left with us is B. They embodied the virtues of loyalty and strength, yet were perceived as weak and immoral. Because यहाँ पे हमने बात करी है about immorality. We have talked about being weak, right? Now come to the third passage. The spear corps of the Indian Army shared photos on the Elon Musk-owned X of guns, ammunitions, and country-made mortars that the army and the police units had seized in Manipur. Seized का मतलब? You have to tell me the meaning of seized, and also you have to tell me the meaning of mortars. Mortars and seized. All the students who are preparing for class should know the meaning of seized, right? Now, X users spotted a small satellite device and router with the latter bearing the SpaceX logo. In response to an X user who claimed that Mr. Musk's technology was being used by terrorists, the billionaire replied, "This is false. Starlink satellite beams are turned off over India." The Starlink device also had the RPF PLA written on it, right? Which refers to a Myanmar-based Meitei extremist group that is banned in India. Now, most of the students who are following general knowledge will understand that this passage has been taken up from some article or from any of the articles published in the newspaper or from a recent happening, right? So, per Starlink's website and coverage map, the service date of Myanmar is unknown. Right? Now, however, this is not the first time. However, again, a very important word for us, because after this, what happens is that we start talking about something which is contrary, right? So this is not the first time SpaceX has become embroiled in controversy. In India, last month, smugglers were caught by the Andaman and Nicobar Island police with over 6,000 kgs of meth and Starlink device that was allegedly used for navigation and communication despite serving their prohibited in Indian waters. Furthermore, what is furthermore? It is a thought extender. Furthermore means that something in the same line, whatever the author is already talking about, will be extended here also. Starlink equipments were seen being sold on the B2B platform Indian Mart, right? Now, international borders are not solid and it is not easy to refine satellite internet coverage to such a precise degree that service is activated or halted exactly in line with a nation's border. An additional complication is that many international borders are contested or unclear, while satellites moving above them are continuously transmitting encrypted signals, right? This encryption stops satellite from being hacked by militants or other malicious actors trying to intercept the service, right? अब यहाँ पे बात हुई एक additional complication की. Till now we have talked about one complication, that it is not easy to refine satellite internet coverage to such precise degree that service is activated or halted exactly in line with nation's border, right? पहली problem ये है कि हम लोग एकदम से intercept नहीं कर सकते हैं satellite internet को, right? For example, as soon as Indian border starts, you cannot just intercept it there and then, right? And the other additional complication that they've talked about here is that many of international borders are contested or are unclear, because sometimes this happens that the borders between the countries is still not clear, right? It is unclear. So while satellites moving above them are continuously transmitting encrypted signals, right? So this encryption stops satellites from being hacked by militants or other malicious actors trying to intercept the services. The key question then is whether militants in Manipur can effectively use Starlink satellite internet within India or not, right? This is what we started with and this is how we are ending with, right? So let us see. So the presence of RPF PLA label on the Starlink device seized in Manipur is significant, because why is it significant? Now this is a fact-based question, right? But for this also, if you would have paraphrased and if you would have focused on it as I focused on it, it would have been easy for you to come back to the question and answer it. So what would be the answer? Let's just go to RPF. See, I've already underlined it. So it means, which refers to Myanmar-based Meitei extremist group that is banned in India, right? So this satellite was being used by an extremist group of Manipur. This is what can be revealed from it. So see, it indicates a connection between SpaceX and the Myanmar-based Meitei extremist group. It shows the Starlink device was legally sold to an extremist group. How do we know that it was legally sold? Right? Legality की तो बात ही नहीं हुई कहीं, right? Moreover, if it is being sold when it is not allowed to be sold in India, then it is illegal, right? It links the satellite device to an internationally banned organization in India. Okay? And the last one is, it proves that the device was used for civilian purposes in India. It was not a civilian purpose, right? And then internationally banned organization, it is not internationally banned, but the use of SpaceX products has been banned. So it should be A. It indicates a connection. Nowhere has it clearly said that this might have happened, but it indicates a connection. So the correct use of vocabulary makes it even more correct for us. Right? I hope this is clear. Now, let's just come to the last paragraph for today, and it is about Indian cinema. Indian cinema has had a vexed relationship with socio-political themes. Even though there were always filmmakers who worked with such issues, filmmakers in the post-independence era were confronted with partition and a fractured polity. Right? A broad consensus building nationalism was seen to be the need of the hour, and that's the popular cinema placed front and center. Right? So Bimal Roy's Do Biga Zameen employed melodrama to give us a moving portrait of agrarian distress. Right? So यहाँ पे एक example दिया कि 2 बीघा ज़मीन में we have talked about the agrarian society or the farming class, right? Now, and their distress. We Shanti Raman's दो आंखें भर हाथ use song and dance effectively in its story of prison reforms, right? The strong messaging cushioned by familiar tropes, right? So in the same year, B.R. Chopra's Naya Daur told us that man and machine could exist, right? Bengal's brand of cinema borrowed its bent and moral conscience from these filmmakers, as well as several others who highlighted uncomfortable truths. Right? Now, but his choices, a sparse style which was never austere, buoyed by a crop of excellent actors and use of wonderful music by his constant collaborators, Vanraj Bhatia. So here we are talking about, this is just an introduction, a pompous introduction to one of the makers, that is Vanraj Bhatia. He did something significant, and what did he do? It made his movies cross over and depend the definition of mainstream without any pandering, that is creating an audience base. Pandering is creating an audience base and widening it, right? In a way, his contemporaries of the parallel cinema like Mani Kaul and Kumar Sahni could not, right? So apart from Bhatia, it was his cinematographer Govind Nihalani who could read his mind and helped create the striking imagery of some of the Bengal's most memorable films, including Nishant, Manthan, Bhumika, Junoon and Kalyug. So Bengal was amongst the first to establish, without really meaning, to what might be called a repertory, which many actors becoming fixtures in his work. Right? Now what is a repertory? What is the meaning of austere and what is the meaning of void? Right? This is a big question for us because we are not able to understand the word. And what is the meaning of pandering? Right? Now, his band included, among others, Nasiruddin Shah, Shabana Azmi, Smita Patil, Om Puri, Amrish Puri, Kulbhushan Kharbanda, Anant Nag, K.K. Raina, Sandhu Meher, and Ranjit Kapoor. There was no didacticism. What is didacticism? Bengal's warm humanism, laced with humor, set his cinema apart and made it timeless. So now see, so many good vocabulary, so many good words, use of such good vocabulary has been used to describe him. But what is the need to use such vocabulary when the students are not able to understand it? Right? So now the need here is to make it complicated for you, because the entire passage was way too simple. Right? The passage was way too simple. So in order to complicate a bit, such words have been used. Now, what is your homework is, you will be telling me the meaning of all these words. And in the next class, I will be discussing the meaning of didacticism, pandering, repertory, austere and buoyed. Right? Note down your homework, take a screenshot. Now, what is the first question? The question here is, what is the primary reason for the crossover appeal of Shyam Benegal's films as described in the passage? Now, where are we talking about Shyam Benegal? We are talking about Shyam Benegal here. Just see if we are. Where are we talking about cross-border blending? Where are we talking about it? Where is Shyam Benegal talked about? Just check. Are we talking about Shyam Benegal anywhere? Let's just see. So when you're not able to remember what was there in the passage, just go through the options only then. His films were made to appeal specifically to the masses without any depth. He adopted a highly austere style which helped maintain artist's integrity. His unique cinematic style, enriched by excellent actors and music, deepened the definition of mainstream. And lastly, his films focused on presenting uncomfortable truths with few aesthetic considerations. So let's just see. Here we had talked about a few filmmakers. For example, the last sentence here. Benegal's brand of cinema borrowed its bent and moral conscience from these filmmakers, as well as several others who highlighted uncomfortable truths. Right? So basically, he was the one who highlighted, but his choices, a spare style which was never austere, buoyed by a crop of excellent actors and use of wonderful music by his constant collaborator Vanraj Bhatia. Right? So here we are talking about how his style was different from the others. So the answer would be, now most of the students will get confusion option A, sorry, in option B and in option C. Why? Because these are the words which are already used for him. Right? So what could be the correct answer? See, the correct answer will be the one which will be most accurate. Right? He adopted highly austere style which helped maintain artistic integrity. Let's see. Which was never austere. Right? So hence, just because of this, we'll eliminate option B and the answer will be C. Right? I hope this is clear. I hope this is clear for everyone. Now, with question number 2, which of the following best summarizes the main idea of the passage? Okay, this question I want all of you to answer in the chat box. What will be the main idea here? Indian filmmakers in the post-independence era struggled to find an audience for socio-political themes. Shyam Benegal's film defined Indian parallel cinema through a unique style and strong collaborations with actors and musicians. V. Santaraman and Bimal Roy were the primary influences on Benegal's filmmaking techniques, and the use of melodrama and strong song and dance routine in post-independence Indian cinema enhanced the social messages in films. You decide the answer. It is way too easy and I want you guys to answer in the chat box. Right? So with this, I'll end the class here, and in the next class, the next session will be about discussion of previous year questions, and we will be solving the previous year questions, and we will be highlighting the main idea questions in it. So please don't miss any class, and even if you've missed, please do watch the videos before. Please don't miss on any of the lectures, and please stay connected and keep on asking your doubts and keep on doing your homework, right? I know I'm expecting a lot, but this is all that you have to do. So with this, I'll end the class here and I'll see you in the next class. Bye-bye. Take care, guys.